Zach is back. It's the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
5:16 from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. A lot going on in the basketball world. You have the playoffs, and you have the Warriors getting game one of the series out west. And tonight you have a game 7 between the Boston Celtics and the Washington Wizards. Before those teams, whoever wins tonight will face the King and LeBron James, and we know that the Cavaliers will be marching to the NBA Finals once again. And then, oh yeah, by the way, it's the biggest day in Philadelphia tomorrow because you do have the draft lottery, and we'll see the pecking order that the Sixers will fall for this upcoming NBA draft. And now joining us from FS1, that of course is Chris Broussard, hopping on board the Zach Gelb Show right now. Chris, great to talk to you again. Thank you for the time, and how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. Can't complain. Before we get to the playoffs, let's just take care of the local fans and get into this draft lottery a little bit as we'll see which way the ping pong balls do fall tomorrow night for the Sixers. A big debate we've been having is there's a chance that the Sixers could get 2 picks in the top 5. Would you rather have 2 picks in the top 5 if you're the Sixers or get the number 1 overall pick?
I think if I'm the Sixers, I probably would rather have 2 in the top 5 because to me, the real prize at the top of the draft is Lonzo Ball. If I'm the Lakers, I want Ball. If I'm Phoenix, I want Ball. If I'm Minnesota, I want Ball. If I'm most teams, I want Ball. But Philadelphia is a little different because you have Ben Simmons. And I know they're talking about putting him at point guard next year. And he's a similar player to Lonzo. He's a better scorer, but he's not as good of a shooter as Ball. But as far as making your teammates better, your court vision, all of that stuff, I think he's very much, pass-first guy. He's similar to Ball. I don't like those two playing together because those are 2 pass-first guys, and I need one of those guys to have a scorer's mentality. So if I'm Philadelphia, if I could get like a Josh Jackson and a Markelle Fultz or a Fultz and a Jason Tatum or whatever it might be. I think I might like that type of combo. Even a Malik Monk, who is a great shooter, undersized 2-guard. I might like getting 2 really good prospects than Alonzo Ball, who I kind of already have, and Ben Simmons.
Yeah, I would really like them to get Malik Monk. That's been the player I've been advocating for the Sixers to get. Let's just say if they get 2 and 4. Who do you think falls to them at 2 and 4? Because Fultz probably goes 1, right?
Not necessarily. It could be Ball. Like if the Lakers get number 1, they're taking Ball. I think if Phoenix gets number 1, I think they're taking Ball. So it could be, certainly Fultz. I mean, most executives I've talked to do like Fultz better, but it just depends on what the team needs, I think, at that number 1. But yeah, it could be Fultz, it could be Ball. I mean, if you're talking about number 2, then you could virtually get anybody in the draft with the 2nd pick.
Chris Broussard with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Another name that we're hearing for the Sixers, not in the draft, but this would be via free agency, of course, is Kyle Lowry. Do you think the Sixers are going to be players for Kyle Lowry, or is he just going to go back to Toronto?
Well, he said that after the season, didn't he say the thing that's going to be biggest for him is winning a ring? You think he's winning a ring with these Sixers next year? Or even competing for a ring?
But you have the home element. You have the home element in it. That's why there's a lot of speculation because he's a local guy.
I'm just saying, he said he wants to win a ring. If a ring, and I don't think a ring should be primary. I think money should be primary because this is probably his last big deal. But a ring should mean something to him. If he wants to win a ring, then I don't think Philadelphia is the place to go. I wouldn't max him out. If I'm the Sixers, I'm not giving him max money. He doesn't play as well in the playoffs. He's older. And I just, by the time you're really ready to roll, he's probably going to be on the downside of his career. So I like Kyle Lowry a lot. I think he'd be a great addition to that Sixers team at a good price. But I don't think a max contract is a good price for Kyle Lowry, in my opinion.
I agree with you. If I'm the Sixers, I would stay away. I don't think it's a good fit, even though if he did come to the team, he would help them. But long-term, I don't like it. Hey, by the way, how far away do you think the Sixers are from just at least competing or getting to the postseason? Do you think they could do that this year?
I think it all depends on the health. I mean, if Embiid stays healthy, then sky's the limit. I mean, not next year, but, like he is a tremendous player, as we all know. If Ben Simmons is healthy and can play, I think that's a great look as well. So if those two are healthy, then, yeah, I think a playoff spot is within reach. I wouldn't be concerned or overly disappointed if they didn't get that eighth spot in the East. But I would think that if those two are healthy for 82 games, then I think you should be in the hunt for the playoff spot. And look, the future is – I don't care what happens in the draft this year. If Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid stay healthy, your future in Philadelphia is incredibly bright.
What do you think that would mean eventually for Sam Hinkie? Do you think he'll get another chance in the league if this thing ends up working out?
He probably will. I don't give Sam Hinkie all the credit in the world for this. I think he's being juiced up a little more than he should be because, you went through 4 horrendous years. And look, maybe what if Embiid never gets healthy or Simmons? Then what? So I think Sam Hinkie is a valuable part of a front office. I don't think he should be running a front office. I think he should be a part of it. He should have his analytics opinions, and he should bring that to the table and be consulted. But final decision-making, building relationships, talking with agents, talking with other teams, he shouldn't be that guy. But I think a lot of people like him. The analytics trend is big in the league, and I think that he will get a shot sooner rather than later.
We're talking with Chris Broussard from Fox Sports 1, does a tremendous job covering the NBA. Chris, we heard what Popovich had to say not that long ago about the Zaza Pachulia play on Kawhi Leonard. Your reaction to that play and also what Pop had to say?
Well, Pop, I get it. He's upset. I get it. He's defending his player. But he really doesn't need to be talking considering one of my friends in the business, but Bruce Bowen, was a king of the slide under and also, some dirty plays and was reputed to be a dirty player. Pop never went on a rant like that after any of Bowen's plays. So I think that you need to think about that when you wax self-righteous about something. Secondly, I don't think the play was dirty. I've talked to, people around the league. Some think it was dirty. Others think it wasn't. I thought it was a closeout, a typical closeout. I think you see that a lot where a guy closes out that way. And unfortunately, Kawhi came down on it and messed up his ankle. But I don't think Zaza, meant to do anything like that.
I don't think the intent was to injure him, and I don't even think it was a dirty play. I do agree with you. But, Chris, when Kawhi exits the game, it's 78-55, and everyone just had that feeling. A lot of people had that feeling that still the Warriors weren't out of this one yet, just with that prolific offense that they had. What did you see once that Kawhi went out? How did this game change where we got to the point that the Warriors did win it?
Well, really, the Warriors heated up, and the Spurs' defense collapsed. And I can't blame it on the absence of Kawhi because they're 8-1 without Kawhi this season. We saw what they did to Houston without Kawhi. And defensively, as far as the analytics, and this is an example why you can't totally go by analytics, but analytically they're better defensively when Kawhi's on the bench. So I think that what happened yesterday could have and would have happened without Kawhi. Now, whether Golden State would have won or not, that's a different question. But I think a rally from the Warriors was coming with or without Kawhi. And with him not on the court in the closing minutes, being able to make plays for himself or his teammates, that's where a big advantage was held for Golden State.
So since you give us those stats, when Kawhi can't go tomorrow, what do the Spurs have to do if they're going to want to find a way to get one at Oracle coming up tomorrow night?
Well, I think they have to do what they did for the better part of yesterday's game, which is utilize their size. Kevin Durant can't guard LaMarcus Aldridge. Warriors end up switching Draymond Green on him, but you got to go at Durant with one of your bigs, whether it's Pau Gasol or LaMarcus Aldridge. I think you're going to have to, get a huge game from Aldridge, which you can. He's played pretty well last few games. And I think that you can't they are incapable, I think, of totally controlling the tempo. But if you can, utilize your bigs and your size, but dominate the backboards and play solid team defense, I think that's your best chance at winning.
Chris, I know no one's going to feel any sympathy for the Warriors because the team that they've formed, they're expected to win a championship every year. But you just look at some of the adversity they went through this year with the KD injury, Kerr being out even though he gave the speech yesterday in the locker room, and Mike Brown coming in. Just how about what this Warriors team, even though they're still the top dog and they're expected to win it all, has been through during this season?
Well, like you said, they get no sympathy. I mean, there are a lot of teams that have been through much worse. So I feel for Steve Kerr. I think that's horrible. I mean, obviously that's outside the realm of basketball. My heart goes out to him and my prayers as well. But outside of that, I mean, KD getting injured for 20 games, that happens. I mean, players get injured. So nobody's feeling any love for Golden State. They are stacked and they should win it. So we'll see if they can pull it out.
Hey, you're dead on about that. Wrap it up with Chris Broussard with us right now on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. We'll talk about his podcast in just a second. Tonight, Game 7, Wizards and Celtics in Boston. What do you expect in this Game 7?
I'm hoping the Wizards win. I think they give Cleveland a better matchup. I don't think either of these teams has a prayer of beating them or a hope of beating them. But I think Washington will make it more interesting. But the way this series has gone with the home team winning all 10 matchups this season, regular season playoffs between these two teams, and the fact that the Wizards regular season, postseason have really been bad on the road, I got to think Boston's going to pull it out. But like I said, I hope I'm wrong and that Washington prevails.
Let me ask you this, just because if you're a Wizards fan, you're obviously watching the game tonight. If you're a Celtics fan, you obviously get amped up. But let's say if you're not a fan of those two teams in Washington, D.C. or Boston, how do you get up for this game tonight? Because we all know how this is going to end. LeBron's going to be going to another final.
Well, I think as long as it's a good, exciting game, if you're a basketball fan, I mean, you got two of the top point guards in the league, and John Wall and Isaiah Thomas. You hope it's a close, dramatic game, and I think that's enough. Like San Antonio, Memphis, I never had a feeling that one of those teams was going to the finals, but I was very much into that series because it was so competitive. Utah, L.A. Clippers, I knew neither one of those teams was going to the finals, but because it was such a competitive series, I was into it. So I think that as long as it's a close, well-played, dramatic game, then I think people will be into it.
If we have to fast forward, because this has been the talk all year long, it's been Cavs and Warriors Part 3. If that's the final that everyone expects it to be, and I'd be shocked at this point, once again, if it isn't, how many games do you think that series goes? And I would have to think the Warriors definitely are the favorite for that one. But how long does that series go, and who wins it?
Well, I mean, I've picked the Warriors all year. I'm going to stick with that. But I think the way LeBron James is playing has been incredible. And with him and Kyrie, I give them a shot. I think the Warriors are the better team. But I think because LeBron and Kyrie, to a lesser extent, are so great individually, that they could lift Cleveland over a superior team, which is what they did last year. So I think it's going 6 or 7 games.
What has it been
Golden
like?
State, but I think 6 or 7.
What has it been like for you, just someone that is a connoisseur of the game of basketball, just to watch what LeBron's been able to do going back to last year when they've been down 3-1, and just to see these performances statistically, it's unprecedented what he's doing in the postseason.
I wouldn't call it unprecedented. I mean, we did have a guy named Michael Jordan.
Yeah, of course. But you just look at the way that he's almost averaging a triple-double. It's like almost sickening. It seems unreal.
Well, I mean, they're not playing the best team.
Sure.
I mean, the Eastern Conference is very weak. And I don't want to take anything from LeBron because he's playing tremendously. But I think some people, it's being a little bit overblown. Indiana and Toronto aren't world beaters by any stretch of the imagination.
Agreed.
You look at the number 2 seed in the West, the Spurs, and they had to go through Memphis and Houston. It's a lot tougher than Indiana and Toronto. So, but to your point, I think LeBron is playing outstanding basketball. It looks like a father playing with his sons. He's just doing whatever he wants. The fact that he's hitting threes at the clip that he is, if he's going to continue to do that, then there's no stopping him. And if he obviously can't do that for the rest of his career, but if he's really about to become a very good three-point shooter, then his dominance individually could continue for many years in this league.
I'll end you on this. And everyone, whenever LeBron goes on one of these runs, it's easy to talk about Michael Jordan. And I still think LeBron has to win more before we could say, oh, hey, he's Michael Jordan. But I'm not taking anything away from his career. We know how good LeBron James has been for many years. But if you had to give me your top 5 players of all time, how do you give me your top 5, Chris?
Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, and number 5, that's a tough one. Maybe Shaq or Wilt, probably one of those two. Wilt, maybe, probably Wilt. But it's close. 5 is tough, but those are definitely my top 4.
Fair enough. And Chris,
Jordan,
number
1.
All right, Chris.
Jordan, number 1, LeBron, number 2.
All right, sounds good. Chris, before we let you run, tell us about the podcast real quickly.
Yeah, so you can get it on iTunes or SoundCloud. It's called In the Zone. And, we get interviews with different, former players and, people here at Fox Sports 1, and we debate, kind of like in this undisputed style. During the playoffs, we're doing that, and I also do some interviews. So check it out. It's been really some interesting conversations with a lot of players about, life in the NBA. It's really been an exciting podcast for a lot of people. So In the Zone with Chris Broussard.
Well, Chris, we always appreciate it when you're on the show. Thanks so much. Let's do it again real soon.
All right, my man. Peace.
There's Chris Broussard. Oh, there we go. Ends the interview with a little peace. Stealing some of what we do there, because we always end the show by saying peace, though. Just messing. Always fun to talk to Chris Broussard. But yeah, what LeBron has been doing right now, and you just look on the run that he has been on since they were down 3-1, and the games that he delivered. I understand the competition stinks. And I've been saying that for years and years and years. The East, it stinks. And people could say, oh, when you look at the bottom, it's improving, all that. But here's the point. And I'm not taking anything away from LeBron. But what is happening in the East right now, it's just one player. Whatever team he's on, he's going to win. And that's it. And every year, there's no reason to watch the Eastern Conference playoffs because you know what the outcome's going to be. We've seen it for the last 7 seasons where it's LeBron with the Heat, finals. Doesn't always mean they win it. LeBron with the Cavs, finals. Doesn't mean they always win it. Just look how it went the last 2 years. You lose one and you win one. But the stats that he's putting up, and even though the competition isn't great, it's impossible not to have your jaw drop. It really is. And I've always been someone, Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time. But some people, they can't even have this thought that someone else could be better than Michael Jordan. I'm not saying LeBron is. LeBron still has his work cut out for him. He's still got to win more rings. But to see what he's doing and the athletic freak that he is, you just drop your jaw over it. You really do. And we're going to see that again. Part trace. You're going to have the Cavs and the Warriors. And then, if you look at that series, yeah, the Warriors are the favorite. They're going to be the favorite. They're the better team. But if LeBron's able to do that back-to-back years, I'll drop everything. And I'll just give him a standing ovation. Because if he's able to win another championship this year against that Warriors team, man, that would be very impressive. I guess when I dropped the unprecedented line, Chris was like, what's a guy named Michael Jordan? Come on. Obviously, we know about Michael Jordan. But you just look at, he's basically, in this postseason this year, it's basically a triple-double. It's not a triple-double, but it's pretty darn close. And the numbers, they're ridiculous. They're absolutely ridiculous. And tonight, since the East is basically irrelevant besides LeBron, what's the motivation to watch Wizards Celtics? What's the motivation? I'm as big as a sport fan as there is. That's what I do for a living. I watch sports and I talk about sports. But how do I get up for this Game 7? And it will probably be a fun Game 7. You have two teams that don't like each other. You had a little bit of a fight in this series, some pushing and shoving with Kelly and Kelly. But other than that, you're watching a game, basically, that's just saying the winner has the right to lose to LeBron James. That's what you're watching tonight. If the Wizards win, okay. You get a few more days to live out your season. If the Celtics win, okay, you get a few more days to live out the season. Other than that, this series, it's irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant, this series. And it's been a fun series. You saw what happened in Game 6. As the Celtics they should have won the game, but they didn't. Definitely. They should have won the game. They're up 5 late, but they didn't win the game. And then you have that fun John Wall shot. So it's been a fun series, but if you're not a fan of Washington and Boston, is it must-see television tonight, this Game 7? And very rarely do I ever say a Game 7 is not must-see television. But why is this must-see television tonight? I don't think it's must-see television just because of the fact that neither of these teams have a chance. They don't. So we'll see what happens tonight. Celtics or Wizards? I'll give you my prediction after the break. 609-919-9200. We'll get into some baseball when we return. 5:37 is the time on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 Jersey. We broadcast from the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios, and we'll be back right after this.